there's no resources at the county level to really offer you any help. Literally, if they had sent me an email that was like a PDF that was like how to start a small food business, here's what you need to do, like here's the legal things that you need to take care of, that would have been so much more helpful. But I did not get any of that. I kept asking to talk to people, like didn't get a call back until like literally today, which is like months later. But since then, like, I actually don't live in an area with commissary kitchens at all. I live in a high desert tourist community. There's like 60 restaurants in like area of like 70 miles. And like half of them are chains. And like some of them are closed down right now too. So there's actually no like setup for a commissary kitchen. I had to seek out mini establishments with friendly community-oriented owners to see if they would actually host me. So finally, I found the operator, the kitchen operator at the community college. He was sympathetic to my story and wanted to support me. So I'm working out of there right now with a health permit. But ever since then, it's just been a process to like figure out how to do this legally. And there was really no way for me to legally test an idea without, feeling like, I just feel like I was treated like a criminal right off the bat for just wanting to serve food, basically. So that's kind of my story there.
Yeah.
Small housekeeping note. Thank you, Tao. We forgot to hit record at the beginning, and if you just saw the little red record button pop up, we just started. And so if you don't consent to being recorded, just turn your video off and don't say anything. You're still welcome to watch, but just wanted to note that we'll cut off the beginning if anyone does drop off. Sorry, Charlie.
All good. Tao, thank you for sharing.
Excuse me, may I add something to that? None of the breakout sessions are being recorded, so none of that is, all of that's private whenever you're in breakout.
Great. Thanks, Penny. Tao, thanks for sharing. And I'm sorry that you've had it's been less than ideal, the process of trying to figure out the path forward. You mentioned living in a rural community that depends a lot on tourism. I'm curious, like, how do you see perspective, like how would MECOS impact or address like food insecurity and food optionality and joblessness specifically in your part of the state?
Well, I moved from like the big city to live here. And ever since I moved here, I've had to rely on freelance work. I've had to rely on having basically 3 different jobs so I can get by. I have lower living expenses than a big city like the Bay Area or LA, but still, like, there's not a lot of jobs to come by since there's like over 3 million visitors or something to like the Joshua Tree National Park and the surrounding areas. I'm surrounded by like vacation rental properties. And like, I'm not a person that cleans houses, but I know a lot of people that like clean homes, and like, a lot of these restaurants here are like basically for tourists. There's like maybe like a handful of them that are the most popular ones that people will go to eat at, but like the locals don't go to eat there because it's like a tourist trap. You have to wait like 3 hours, and you might not even, if you show up at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock, you might not even get a table until like 10, or they might even just turn you down. And I'm talking about Pappy and Harriet's, where that is like literally the case there, like every single weekend night. So there's not a lot of food options here. If my car broke down, I couldn't get food anywhere. Like, there's really, I'd have to drive into, I have to find a ride into town to get food, to go to the grocery store and stuff. So what I'm talking about is like, there's not a lot of food options here. There's not like a lot of good access to food that's affordable, that makes sense for the community here. And I think, starting a restaurant, I've heard from people, or starting cafes, people in LA, they want to come here and do things, but it like literally will cost them the same amount of money out of pocket to open up a business here, where they're not guaranteed, the same foot traffic. There's a seasonality to here. Like, it's dead for like 3-4 months in the summer when it's hot and not a lot of people come here. But at the same time, there's locals that live here, more people moving here, and we want food here. We want food that's open all the time. There's a really popular place down the road from me called La Copine. They're closed during the summer because that makes sense for their business. They don't get enough business to be open. But I feel like there's like a need in the community now where like people are moving here. We want food. We've always needed more food opportunities. We need work opportunities. I want to start a business. I know like a lot of home chefs that don't want to like out themselves like I did. We want to start businesses and we want to do it legally, but we don't have like that infrastructure like a big like city or like an urban suburban area has. Like I feel like there's a direct relationship between like having jobs here, having more jobs, and feeding people, basically.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's really well
connected
put. Totally. Probably speaking to the choir here, but I think that it's a really good point to make. Denise, we had a really nice conversation last week as well, and I'm wondering if you would be comfortable sharing with all of us, like what, before you started cooking on this platform Food Gnome and before you became your first certified cook in your city in Riverside County, what sort of like, what were you considering for income, and what sort of like types of sources of income were you trying to fit your lifestyle, and how are those opportunities working or not working for you?
I was driving Lyft and Uber,
Mm-hmm.
and it would take me literally, it would take me all week to make $500, and I'm talking about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning and working, to get the rush hour traffic in the morning, and sometimes I wouldn't come home until 9, 10 o'clock at night, and that was making $100 a day.
Right.
Sometimes.
And that was on top of.
That was, because like I said, I have my son every other week. I share custody with his dad. So on the weeks I didn't have my son, I would work probably 50 hours driving to make $700 maybe.
Right.
Maybe. And then, subtract out my gas and all that from that. So I would probably try to net $400 or $500 a week, because the area I'm at is not very populous. So, and then
you had tried some, like, I guess because of your schedule being the primary caregiver for your son, your schedule didn't allow for sort of like regular 9-to-5 jobs.
No,
right?
It doesn't. I would go in and I would, state my situation. I have a special needs son. This is how I'm working, and all the employers would say, "Oh yeah, we're open. We'll work with you," until I got hired, and then they actually had to start working with me. What do you mean you have to leave at 2? Well, his program ends at 2 o'clock, so I can only work till 2. Oh, you can't work next week, or what's going on? So until they actually had to work with me and saw how difficult my situation is, I got tired of getting laid off of jobs. It just became monotonous. I'd only stay a couple of months maybe before they would come and tell me that they were sympathetic to my situation, but we're still gonna have to let you go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, on a lighter note, I'd love for you to share with, especially a lot of the folks who are aspiring food entrepreneurs, sort of, how does your schedule and what does it look like for you now when on days that you're cooking and selling your food, and what are sort of the best parts of that process?
Well, the best parts of it is I'm still in connection with the public. I still get to have that social interaction, even though now it's face coverings and running food to the car. But I'm not so solitary. I don't know if anybody has a special needs child. It's very solitary, because people don't understand your situation, and you kind of your friends kind of fall off to the wayside. They mean well, but it's an understanding thing. So it's a very solitude existence. So this keeps me, socially active. The money is really good. Depending on what I'm cooking, I like gumbo or oxtails, shrimp etouffee, something like that. I max out on my 30 per day that the county allows, but it's like $700-800. It's what I was working all week for when I was driving Uber. I can get that in one day, 2 days if you count, the cleanup and the prep work. But
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's incredible. It is.
Yeah, and I mean, you're sort of touching upon it already, and I'm thinking like, other than like the financial like opportunity and the lifestyle flexibility, which are super important for you, I'm curious, like you've been a solo entrepreneur for over a year now. Like, how has that changed you or impacted you, not just socially, but like emotionally as well? Or maybe even like the way that you
emotionally,
interact.
all of it is it's boost my self-esteem, because you do kind of get into a woe is me type situation when you're caregiving. So this is, it's made, I don't want to say it feels like you're contributing, especially with food, because food is such a personal thing with people. So doing the food and then people actually loving it and leaving nice reviews and recognizing me and complimenting my food and all of that, it's very uplifting. Before the COVID hit, friends who hadn't seen each other in a while, they would run into each other at my house and decide to stay and eat together. People who haven't seen each other in 5-10 years or whatever. So that part of it was really cool. And just being able to have my own income, something that I earned, and again, making me feel like I'm contributing to my own self first off, because not working, I was all my personal, but I was living off, I get alimony, I get child support, and the state helps me care for my adult son. But it was all money that was just given to me, without a better way of saying it. So earning this extra money, it does feel good.
Yeah. It's the warm and fuzzies. It reminds me a lot of the communities and cooks that we worked with at Josephine too. So I definitely hear you on that. I know we have like 5 minutes left, so I'd love to close with another round and just sort of ask each of you, what are your aspirations? Like, where would you like to be in a year with regards to home cooking or with your food business? And also, if you have any words of advice for folks who are thinking about starting businesses in the same area or venturing out on their own, if you want to share that. And Denise, you can go back to you first.
Okay. Actually, my sister lives in Sacramento, and my parents live in Solano County. So for me, it would be pretty cool to franchise Soul Goodness. That would be pretty cool to have Soul Goodness in 2 home restaurants, different ends of the state. So I kind of, like that, and just expanding, maybe like hiring a driver or something like that. But I really don't want to move into a brick and mortar because of just everything that goes with that. I'm more comfortable doing it out of my home, and again, it's on my own schedule. So I enjoy the flexibility of, if I'm not able to cook or if I just don't want to cook, I don't have to, where if I had a brick and mortar, I would have to do it to make rent. So that's me. Just to franchise it out to my mom and sister, so we can have a couple of Soul Goodnesses all over the state. I think that's kind of cool.
Amazing. Tao, any 2021 aspirations and any words of advice?
Well, I'm the type of person that if you tell me that I can't do something, I will actually prove you wrong and try to do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like it's just how I am. So, when I get a notice in the mail that says you can't cook at your, you can't operate a home restaurant, basically, I found many ways to make this work. I went and found a commissary kitchen that I could work out of. I paid that, $600 for the health permit there. That's for a year long. I committed to that. I developed this relationship with the commissary kitchen owner to do some work agreement there. What else did I do? I found a business that could host me, because I don't really want to do catering and have to like haul my stuff everywhere to different venues. I tried a couple of catering gigs and I realized catering is not for me. I just want a pizza night where people come to me, they get their pizza, they eat their pizza, they're happy. So I found a business. My friends purchased a business or a building, and they're letting me operate out of that. And I'm trying to get a host facility permit to do like weekly pizza nights out of there. So that's how I found it to work. And I'll probably do that through the next year. But if we get AB 626 passed, I would love to do like another pizza night out of my home. It's less of a hustle to do it because I have my kitchen, I would have my kitchen permitted then. And, you know, I can start and stop it at any time, like Debbie was saying, like Denise was saying. So there is just something really easy and simple about doing it out of my home. And my community that lives in my neighborhood, you know, they know where I live. They've come over for dinners before. And I just want to have people over in like a safe, comfortable outdoor space. So that's kind of where I would like to be next year too, if the AB 626 passes. But I don't see myself trying to open up a business, just like Denise said too. I've had a retail business before, and it's nonstop, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of investment to continue it and just keep it going. And it's a lot of management than it is about cooking. And I'm a cook and I just love feeding people. And that's kind of, I want to keep my role simple. And I feel like this is like a good way for me to do it and earn a living. And I know it's like a part-time thing. And I think that's what's great about it, if it can happen for our county.
Totally. Oh, I feel that so much. Thank you for sharing. Bilal, you want to close us out? Any 2021 aspirations or words of advice for the Cooks Online?
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, Keone and I are going to take over from our coworker. We're taking over a little cafe. Yeah, we're going to continue doing Broke Ass Cooks food for now, so that, you know, if anyone missed out and gets to try it, they get a chance to come and try it. And yeah, it's a pretty cool space. It's right in the middle of this beautiful park in Berkeley. And yeah, we're sort of like kind of picnic baskets kind of things, encourage people to get outside, because I feel like everyone needs to get outside and, you know, enjoy the sun. You know, and they have nice, you know, small little intimate indoor tables. So we might do nicer, like once a month, like a nice 5-course meal, you know, so people want to have a nice fancy dinner or something. So, you know, like get our creative, you know, juices flowing and let us just kind of like, you know, get working again. So that's for now. That's only for the next few months, but potentially longer term. Yeah, and, you know, honestly, long term, just want to cook and just, you know, keep feeding people. You know, I would love to be able to almost do the same thing we were doing if we can get 626 passed. Because, you know, the greatest thing ever is not having to commute. Just wake up and just like go downstairs and you're in your workplace already, you know. And so that's kind of where we're at. One thing we were working towards, which we were gonna start doing through Broke Ass Cooks, was we were gonna start donating a lot of meals. We were gonna give people the option to pay for another meal at cost, you know, our cost, no profit, and like we were gonna start, you know, bring those out in the community, because, you know, there's a lot of homelessness around our area, and like, you know, everyone's struggling. So want to get that up and going again, start giving back. And yeah, just kind of figure out a way to survive, because, you know, our unemployment is about to run out real soon, and restaurants aren't quite open yet. So we're gonna see what we can do. And, yeah, so I mean, just kind of stay active with you guys, see if there's anything we can do, and, you know, get the ball rolling.
I appreciate, and I said this all to you separately over the past weekend, but so grateful and so appreciative of the fact that like all three of you are giving us your time and your energy and lending a voice to the movement. You certainly don't have to, and it's really humbling to see. I think like since just in this year, seeing how much more intersectional this movement and the Cook Alliance base has become, you know, to include folks more from the restaurant industry, to include folks who have more organizing and advocacy backgrounds, to, you know, to even be able to like generate press and sort of like see the headlines that have been coming up and the backlash to shutting down of all these pandemic pop-ups. All of it has been super heartening, and it's all thanks to people like yourselves. So thank you all so much for joining us. Just a quick note for folks with questions coming in. I see a lot of sort of like fact-based, like logistics questions or questions about AB 626 and the different sort of statuses it is in different states and how to interpret it. We'll follow up in email with everyone who registered with more materials so that we can get some of those questions answered. But wanted to make sure that while we had Tal, Bilal, and Denise on, that we were hearing from them and hearing their stories. So thank you all so much. And I will pass the mic back over to Penny, I believe.
Wow, thank you, Penny. You're muted if you're saying anything. Thank you,
Back
Denise,
to Matt,
Bilal,
yes.
Tal. Just super inspiring. A lot of gratitude. Excited to be in this with all of you, and thanks for the candor. Honestly, it's not an easy journey, and yeah, to be willing to speak up and be part of the movement, especially after being shut down, it takes a lot of courage. So thank you. What we're gonna do now, everyone, is we're a few minutes behind, but what I'm gonna do is cue an 8-minute video, which was produced by an amazing award-winning filmmaker, Ida. I'm gonna mispronounce her last name. Maybe Penny, you can help me. And Peter from our team also contributed along with some of the folks down in Riverside. Penny, do you know, or Peter?
I don't have Ida's last name in front of me. I'm so sorry.
It's Benjacool, I'll just say, but I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I don't know Ida myself,
Very
so.
close, Matt. That'll do.
Okay, so what I'll do now is this is a neat 8-minute sort of snapshot of the movement that was produced towards the end of last year. Ida's an amazing filmmaker. She's working on some longer form pieces about the home cooking movement that are coming out as we speak. A new one is just being released that's double the length, and hopefully we'll have a feature length one coming as well. But this is also a good opportunity for folks to bio break, do whatever you need to do. If you don't want to watch the film, we'll follow up with the link to it so you can watch it on your own time. And then we'll get started with our advocates panel in about 10 minutes. So thank you, cooks. And I'm going to screen share and cue the video here. So you might have to tell me if you can hear it. Is the sound coming through, Penny?
I'm not hearing it.
Okay, what I'll do is just turn off.
How about now?
Yeah.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was in the military. We were in the Midwest. And so she made casseroles and macaroni and cheese. Betty Crocker, old school cookbook, classic stuff.
I've been cooking since I was 3 years old, growing up with my grandmother. I grew up in Compton. My grandma's from New Orleans. My grandpa was from Texas. So I kind of had that Cajun country flair. Mom and dad brought me up on going to Korean barbecues, Japanese barbecues, and I want to go everywhere across the world and taste different foods.
My grandpa, he have his own restaurant in India. I always stand in there and I look how he's doing it. So I think whenever I'm cooking, my hand just go like that same way. I came in here in 1992. I've been cooking all the time. And the cooking is my hobby, so I love to do it. If I don't cook, I feel like I'm in the depression or something like that.
I come from a low income housing. I grew up without a father, no role model, no guidance. My trials and tribulations had to do a lot with gang activity. I ended up being homeless. I got enough experience to know what it feels like being homeless.
Life kind of threw us for a loop, and all of a sudden I was a single mom, and I ended up quitting my career. I would start cooking for our family potlucks and things like that, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is great, you need to sell this. I hopped on the internet and Googled, how can you make money selling your home cooked meals? And I found out it was against the law. This is a family-based business. I go to work and my daughter and my son, they're doing all the preparation and I just come home and start cooking. And we was busy every single day. It was like crazy. I'm working 2 jobs. I got a call from the health department. The lady, she said, you're cooking without a license. We lost our lot of business. When we cannot cook, and it was like really bad.
Music has a message. Art has a message. Food has a message. It's all a craftsmanship. And I think you can make a big impact on people. Giving someone a chance, and they, you know, the circle has completed.
I love to cook and I always cook for people. People are always like, why don't you start your own restaurant? The biggest thing is the cost to start your own restaurant. Who has $100 grand sitting around at home?
I eventually stumbled across AB 626 and found out that it had the potential to make home cooking legal, and led me to Cook Alliance.
Cook Alliance is a new nonprofit that generated the creation of the law, AB 626. AB 626 is a state law that allows home cooks to sell meals that they prepare in their own certified permitted kitchen. California is the first state to permit. It's a step in a process to change the way we look at food, to connect people with their food.
I contacted Cook Alliance, and Peter said, you're in Riverside County and they're very interested in the law. Would you like to be a county lead for us? And I said, okay, but I had never been involved in local government or anything like this. I showed up to the Board of Supervisors meeting. All of a sudden, when our topic came up, AB 626, they called my name. I went up and spoke from my heart. I just let them know who I was and what I wanted to do and why I wanted to have a home restaurant. I was the only person from the public that spoke. A couple members of the board spoke, and then they took a vote right then and there. The final vote was 4 yes, 0 no's.
My brother, he messaged me, he said, you're gonna have a license. I got so happy. And I messaged my kids, I said, we're gonna go back again.
When we first moved here, you know, we wanted to go out to eat, and our choices were fast food, pizza places.
In food deserts, for example, some of the only entities that are legally allowed to serve prepared meals to the public are fast food chains. Communities are disadvantaged by inequity in the food system. There's quite a lot of opportunity here as well for grassroots economic growth in communities that need it the most.
The economic impact could be incredible for people who are struggling. Even people who aren't struggling just love to cook.
When your back's against the wall and you realize, you know, you got a family, you have people that care about you, and time is all you have, you just utilize it to the best. One day I was just going through Instagram, I saw Food Gnome, I clicked the page, and I figured that, you know, where else could I go from here?
Becoming a stay-at-home mom, I didn't realize kind of how isolating it is. During the process of opening my home restaurant, I found my voice again on how to advocate for myself.
Ended up going in and out of jail. It's been 10 years since I got out. This reminds me of the people that I hurt. I'm hoping to repay back everybody and all the wrongs that I did to make them right.
Like people used to do on Sundays, everybody meet at grandma's house and eat a meal. But I want to bring that idea back of how families supposed to sit down at the table, enjoy the experience. I want you to sit there and actually enjoy what I'm cooking for you.
My first event was so amazing. The doorbell rings and you don't know what to expect. But there's people there. People came in, they didn't know each other. People from different cultures, different stories, different age groups that normally wouldn't be sitting around interacting with each other.
By enabling folks to sort of either gather around a table, can actually foster community relationships in a way that has really some meaningful impacts for the social fabric of our society.
Food can bring people together. Every day I wake up and cook, I enjoy it every day. You come to my restaurant, you eat my food, you know it's cooked with the utmost love.
Put all the ingredients together. And I think this not the ingredient, but it's the way we put our love to make the food.
It's all with the community, with the kids, and I start with the music, and I start with the food. Seeing that a person like ourselves can help another friend out, give them some work, especially if they love it. You know, they love cooking. It's very powerful.